There will always be moments when people disrespect you. They will speak words meant to hurt. They will throw looks meant to belittle, and they will try to shake your peace. But here's the question: do you respond, or do you stay silent? In those moments when the sting of their words or the weight of their gaze threatens to rob you of your sense of self, what do you do? How do you hold your ground when the world seems determined to push you into a corner, to make you feel small, to make you feel powerless? How do you resist the urge to lash out, to fight back with words, to let them know they can't treat you this way? Here is the truth that most will never grasp. Silence is not weakness. Silence is power. Have you ever noticed how some people can insult you, provoke you, and try to pull you into their drama, only to watch you remain quiet, still? In that stillness, in that silence, there is a profound strength, a strength that disarms them. Their words, their actions, they lose their power because you've chosen not to meet them at their level. And in that moment, you hold the ultimate power. You control yourself, your response, your peace. When you stay silent, you become the master of your emotions. The world may shake with chaos, but you, my friend, remain anchored. You do not allow their disrespect to erode your spirit. You do not give them the satisfaction of seeing you lose your dignity. Instead, you rise above it. You see, silence is not about submission. It's not about fear. It's about control. It's about wisdom. It's about saying, I am in control of my peace, and I will not let you steal it. Silence is a shield, not a sign of weakness. It takes courage, not cowardice, to stay calm when provoked. It requires strength, not fragility, to turn away from the fire of conflict. There is wisdom in the silence of those who have walked the path before us. Proverbs 17:28 says, "Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent." How many times have we seen this truth played out? A fool speaks hastily, letting his anger show, letting his pride expose itself. But the wise know that sometimes the greatest power is to say nothing at all. And then there is James 1:19, "Be slow to speak, slow to become angry." How often do we speak in haste, in anger, in hurt, and regret the words we have uttered? The tongue is a powerful thing. Once released, words can never be taken back. But silence leaves no trail of bitterness, no regret. It leaves only peace. Think of those who have mastered this art. Think of Nelson Mandela, who endured years of injustice and humiliation but chose silence over violence. Think of the Buddha, who, when faced with insults, responded with nothing but compassion. Their silence didn't mean they were weak. It meant they understood something most of us do not. When we speak, we engage with the negativity. When we stay silent, we free ourselves from its grip. But what of us in our daily lives? When the world disrespects us, when someone discredits us in front of others, when we're ridiculed or belittled, what do? Do we respond with anger? Do we defend our pride? Do we strike back in a moment of fury? Let me tell you this: do not react in anger. Do not let your ego take control. Anger will burn bright, but it will burn out quickly, leaving nothing but ashes in its wake. Vengeance may seem sweet in the moment, but it will only sour your spirit. Instead, recognize that silence gives you something far more valuable: the space to breathe, to think, to regain your balance. You are not the words they say. You are not the slights they deliver. You are the one who chooses how to respond. And when you choose silence, you choose self-respect. Consider the psychological power of silence. When you stay silent, they are forced to confront their own behavior. They will wonder why you didn't fight back, why you didn't lash out. Your silence causes them to question themselves, to wonder if they've gone too far, to rethink their words. And in doing so, you have already won. You have taken control of the narrative. In the silence, you find clarity. In the silence, you find peace. It is in that moment, when you do not react, when you do not give in to the urge to prove something to someone else, that you are truly free. You become untouchable to negativity. It cannot harm you because you have learned to guard your own peace. There's a subtle yet profound power in silence that most people never fully realize. It's not merely the absence of sound, but the presence of something far more precious, self-mastery. It takes no great feat of strength to shout back, to hurl words in retaliation, or to lash out when we feel wronged. But it takes a deep well of inner strength to remain silent when everything within you is screaming to respond, to defend, to react. In those moments of disrespect, silence is not simply a tool to avoid confrontation. It is an expression of control over yourself. True self-mastery is the ability to respond thoughtfully, not impulsively, to life's challenges. When you remain silent, you are in control of your own response, not at the mercy of external events or the words of others. You are the one who decides how much power you give to the negativity around you. You are the one who determines whether or not you allow another person's actions to dictate your emotional state. You see, self-mastery is not just about what you do, but about what you don't do. It's not about the power you can assert, but the strength you choose not to express. Silence in the face of disrespect is a deliberate choice to refuse to let external chaos disturb your inner peace. It's not that you don't feel anger, frustration, or hurt. It's that you've learned how to hold those emotions with grace, not letting them control you. When you speak in anger, when you react impulsively, you surrender your power. You engage in the drama. You allow the person who disrespects you to dictate your emotional state, to shape your thoughts and actions. But when you choose silence, you are saying, I will not let your words or actions take my peace. In silence, you assert the ultimate power over yourself. You choose what's worth your energy and what is beneath your response. This is not a passive surrender, it's an active declaration of strength. To stay silent when disrespected is to rise above the trivialities of ego and pride. It is to step into a space of wisdom, where your thoughts are not driven by reaction, but guided by inner clarity. The more you practice silence, the more you cultivate a calmness in the face of storms, a steadiness in the waves of life's challenges. And this is the mark of true self-mastery, not the ability to control others, but the power to control yourself. In every interaction, there is a story unfolding, a narrative being shaped by the words we speak and the actions we take. But what happens when we choose silence instead of words? What happens when, in the face of disrespect or provocation, we decide not to engage at all? We rewrite the very story that others try to tell about us. There is incredible power in silence, not because it leaves a vacuum, but because it gives space for new perspectives to emerge. When someone insults you or tries to provoke you, they are attempting to cast you in a certain light, one that fits their narrative of who you are. But when you stay silent, you refuse to play along with their script. You are no longer just a character in their story, you are the author of your own. Think of it this way. Every disrespectful comment, every degrading look is a small chapter in a larger story, one where you are defined by how others choose to see you. But when you remain silent, you step out of that chapter. You refuse to be reduced to a mere reaction. You stop letting others dictate your worth. Instead of meeting them with anger or bitterness, you take your dignity back and rewrite the plot. This is not an act of submission, but of profound strength. It's the recognition that your peace, your identity, and your self-worth are not for others to decide. By not reacting to their disrespect, you refuse to let their words control the direction of your life. You create a new narrative, one where you remain calm, composed, and unshaken by the turbulence around you. It is often said that actions speak louder than words, but silence has its own language, a language of strength, wisdom, and grace. Silence speaks volumes, not because it lacks meaning, but because it forces others to question their assumptions about you. When you do not react, when you do not respond in anger or frustration, they are left to grapple with their own behavior. They are left to confront the question, why did they not react? In this moment, you shift the power back into your own hands. Their words, their intentions lose their power because you no longer participate in their narrative. The beauty of silence is that it can create space for reflection, for both you and for those who have wronged you. It gives them a moment to reconsider their actions, to question whether they have gone too far. In that moment, the story shifts. The narrative is no longer about your reaction, it becomes about their behavior, and in that shift you are free. You are no longer defined by the words of others, but by your ability to choose peace, to choose dignity. In choosing silence, you are writing your own story, one of resilience, self-respect, and unshakable calm. You are the author of your life, and no one else has the power to define you. The narrative is yours to control. In a world that never stops speaking, where noise fills the spaces between our thoughts, and where distractions pull us in every direction, silence can feel like an oasis of peace, a rare treasure to be guarded. But silence is more than just a pause in the chaos. It holds within it a profound healing power, one that can mend wounds deeper than words can touch. When you are disrespected, hurt, or wronged, the natural impulse is to react, to shout, to defend yourself, to make your voice heard, to demand that the world sees your side of the story. But often, in the clamor of words, we forget that the most powerful form of healing comes not through speaking, but through silence. There is a kind of quiet that allows us to process, to reflect, and to heal on a level far beyond our conscious understanding. In silence, we give ourselves the space to breathe. We release the pressure of feeling like we need to explain, justify, or prove ourselves. We release the need to be validated by others. It's in this space of stillness that we begin to reconnect with who we truly are, beyond the hurt, beyond the insults, beyond the noise. Think of a wound, whether physical or emotional. When you don't allow it to heal in silence, when you constantly pick at it, push it, or expose it to further infection, it will never heal. But when you give it time, when you allow it to be undisturbed, when you give it the peace and space to mend itself, healing begins. Our souls are much the same. When we allow ourselves the gift of silence after being wounded by others, we create a safe space for our hearts to mend. We stop picking at the hurt, stop dwelling on the anger, and instead we allow time and quiet to wash over us and heal the damage done. In the silence, we find clarity. We give ourselves the chance to reflect, not in a rushed or reactive manner, but in a way that allows our thoughts to settle and our emotions to find balance. We stop responding out of impulse and start responding out of understanding. It's in this space that wisdom is born. The mind clears, the heart calms, and we start to see things for what they truly are, not as a personal affront, but as a moment that is passing. Silence also gives us the opportunity to remember who we are. When others disrespect us, it can feel as though our worth has been shaken. But silence allows us to remember that our worth was never tied to their words or actions. In that quiet space, we reconnect with our true selves, with the peace and dignity that lie within us. We rediscover the foundation of our being, one that is unshakable by the storms of others' judgments. Silence, in its gentleness, brings us back to the core of who we are. It calms the storm inside of us, helping us to let go of anger, resentment, and the desire for revenge. It offers us peace in a world that constantly seeks to disturb it. And so, when the world around you erupts in noise and pain, choose silence. Not as a way to hide, but as a path to healing. Give yourself the space to breathe, to reflect, to restore. In silence, you'll discover the quiet strength to rise again, to walk with your head held high, and to heal with a heart more whole than before. In the heat of a moment, when someone disrespects you or challenges your character, what is your first instinct? Is it to fight back, to lash out, to defend your pride and dignity? Or is it to remain silent, to stay calm, to rise above the storm and protect your peace? There is a powerful and often misunderstood quality in choosing silence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions and the emotions of others. It's not simply about how we react to what's being said or done to us, it's about how we manage our emotional responses in a way that elevates us and protects our well-being. Silence, in moments of disrespect, is an act of emotional intelligence because it allows us to take a step back from our raw emotions and choose a response that aligns with our highest self. When we are insulted or hurt, our emotions surge, often without warning. Our egos feel wounded, and the impulse to fight back, to prove ourselves, can become overwhelming. But the emotionally intelligent person knows that reaction is not the same as response. They know that reacting in the moment without thought leads to regret, to further conflict, and to entangling oneself in the negativity of the situation. Silence, then, becomes the tool of choice for those who understand that their emotional state is too valuable to be tossed around by external forces. In choosing silence, you are exercising control. You're not letting the provocation of others dictate how you feel or how you act. When you remain silent, you're saying to yourself, I will not be swept away by this moment. I am in control of my emotional state, and I will respond with calm, not with chaos. This level of emotional intelligence is not about being cold or indifferent. It is about recognizing that your inner peace is far more valuable than the fleeting satisfaction of a sharp retort or an angry confrontation. Silence also speaks volumes when it comes to understanding others. Emotional intelligence requires us to empathize with the person who disrespects us, to understand that their behavior is more a reflection of their own struggles than of who we are. Instead of responding with anger or defensiveness, silence allows us to observe without reacting. It gives us the space to recognize the humanity in the other person, their pain, their fears, their insecurities, rather than just their disrespect. By holding our tongue, we give ourselves the gift of empathy, and that empathy transforms our response from one of conflict to one of understanding. In that moment of silence, we also protect ourselves from becoming entangled in the drama and negativity that others try to project onto us. It's not weakness to remain quiet in the face of disrespect. It's emotional strength. It's the strength to resist the urge to fight back with words that might only escalate the situation. It's the strength to stay anchored in your truth, in your peace, while the storm rages around you. In choosing silence, you avoid the trap of reacting from ego and instead choose to respond from a place of emotional maturity. Silence gives us the space to regain clarity. When emotions are high, logic often takes a back seat. By remaining silent, we give ourselves the opportunity to clear our minds, to gather our thoughts, and to decide if responding is even necessary. Often, silence reveals that nothing needs to be said. The situation may dissolve on its own, or the other person may even begin to reconsider their behavior, having been met with calm rather than confrontation. In this way, silence is not merely a shield, it is a tool for growth. It strengthens our emotional intelligence by forcing us to step outside our impulses, to question our automatic reactions, and to make conscious choices that align with our higher values. The more we practice silence in the face of disrespect, the more we grow in emotional wisdom. We learn to manage our emotions, to rise above petty provocations, and to respond with grace instead of anger. In the end, silence is not just the absence of words. It is the presence of emotional intelligence. It is the strength to control our emotions and the wisdom to know that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is to say nothing at all. There are moments in life when we are faced with disrespect, hurt, or betrayal. Times when we feel the weight of someone else's words or actions pressing against our hearts. In those moments, it's easy to want to hold on to the pain, to carry it with us, to clutch tightly to the anger or resentment that is born from being disrespected. But there is a profound and often overlooked strength in choosing to let go, in releasing the grip of bitterness and walking away from the storm with grace. Letting go is not an act of weakness, as many may assume. It takes immense strength to forgive, to release, and to choose peace over pride. It takes courage to let go of the need to be right, to relinquish the desire for justice when we feel wronged. But the strength to let go is one of the most empowering choices we can make, because it allows us to reclaim our peace, our energy, and our emotional well-being. When you hold on to hurt, you carry it with you. It becomes a part of you, draining your energy, coloring your thoughts, and shaping your actions. It builds walls around your heart and mind, walls that prevent you from experiencing true freedom. But when you let go of the pain, you release the power it holds over you. You free yourself from the grip of negativity, and in doing so, you free your mind to focus on what truly matters, on healing, on growth, and on peace.